Salam. My name is Sheikh Abu Hakim Abdullah, President Chairman of Al-Masjid Sharia Law, a non-profit religious organization operating in the state of Rhode Island, USA. I spoke to you last week about a conspiracy, a war against Islam. And I'm not saying something that's not true. Yes, there's a war against terrorism, and we Muslims must join in against this. Not against a war, but we must join in to fight terrorism, because terrorism has helped destroying our deen. It done brought our deen down to wherein people don't want to have anything to do with us. It's destroying the way we live. It's putting false statements out against Islam. It's doing things that are not in the book of Islam, not in the book of the Quran and Hadiths. So we must stand up against it like we stand up against anything else that is an enemy of Islam. But there is a movement to break Islam down to a somewhat Christian way of living, more of a spiritual Islam. And that's not the way Islam is written up. Why a lot of people don't, like I said before, a lot of people don't want Islam to exist the way it is. So they're trying to break it down to be practiced like Christianity accepted. But, and this is what's trying to happen. Like I said before, the rebellious movements that's going on around the world today, I can't see where it's for Islam. It seems to be for democracy, the democratic way of living, freedom, as they say. They want freedom. They want to live free. They want to do what they want to do. They're professional people, and they don't see wherein they can deal with Islam the way it is. It's got to match their professionalism. And so we Muslims must stand up against those that want to break Islam down to a spiritual, just a spiritual way of living, and not a physical way of Islam. They're just as much enemies to us as anyone else. And then you got those that don't believe in nothing, really, and they want to destroy Islam also. You got them that's walking around talking about they Christians and they this and they that, and they don't belong to anything but the money crowd. Their God is money. Their belief is money. They pray to Wall Street and other places. And all they want is billions of dollars and more billions of dollars. So we must stand up against them also. I got an agenda out, a letter called Agenda. It's like a proposal of what I'm planning on, what AMSA is planning on doing. AMSA doesn't see but one other way to deal with what's happening to us. You can't be friends with people that's sticking you in the back all the time. You must stand independent from the people. At the same time, you deal with the people. You must do as everybody else is doing. You got the Jewish section of Brooklyn and New York and Chicago. You got Catholic sections. You got, in Rhode Island, you got the so-called Federal Hills section that used to be all Italians and whatnot. Everybody's doing that except we Muslims. We Muslims in the United States got to get our own factories, our own jobs. We must have jobs for our people. We must have senior homes for our older people, or we must help our younger people to maintain their older family. We must establish a well for us to drink out of. We must do business in the United States and ship it back to our own countries. We must open up factories here in the United States and hire 50% of the jobs going to our own people. We must do as everyone else is doing in order to survive in this world. We can't just keep walking around and being service for other people. The law says we're not supposed to do that for ourselves or nobody else. So we have to go ahead and do what we have to do. Now, this thing about terrorism, we must stand up against terrorism, but Islamically. When I tell you to join sides, when I say to you, we must join sides with the non-Islamic, the non-Muslim countries against terrorism. I'm not saying you're supposed to go out there with guns in your hand and shoot down terrorists and kill them. We must deal with terrorism Islamically in the countries where we can. In other countries that are not Islamic countries, we must deal with it the best way we can. We must deal with it through our masjids, through our centers, through our schools, through our everything that we have authority over. And we must begin to stand up against terrorists. We must stand up with them with the Quran and the Hadiths, with what the law says about terrorism and what he says we should do about it. Now, you might feel that this is your brother. The law says in Quran, strive against the hypocrites and the disbelievers that don't want to be friends with you or trying to hurt you. The law says attack them that attack you with everything legal. We can't attack in disbelief. We must attack people to defend ourselves. It's not an aggressive movement. Combat in Islam is that you defend yourself against aggressive people that's trying to do something to you. If a person attacks you, attack them back. They verbally say things about you, verbally say things back. They smack you in the face, smack back. You don't believe in turning the other cheek. That's not in Quran. But we don't believe in attacking people and doing what is supposed and doing things to them that they're not doing to us. And that's got to stop right away, because there's a smoke screen being done. People are laying down a smoke screen like you do with a bunch of boats, ships, coming to attack something. You lay a smoke screen down and nobody can see the ships coming, and they start to shoot them. That's what's happening against us. People are backing people that's running around talking about they want freedom. They want this and they want that. They're tired of no jobs. And this is inside, this is information that's not, it's not hidden. This is straight out open. If you remember what happened with the rebel movements in those countries, and still going on in other countries, they're not fighting for Islam. They're fighting for their desires. They're fighting for the desire to be free. They're fighting for the desires to run and swim in bathing suits, to go to dances and parties. They're fighting to sit down and hang out with women and men and whatnot. And this is what's going on. And people are funding these people to do this. These people are running to keep saying, these people are fighting for democracy, to live democratically. You cannot live two ways in a country that's predominantly Muslim. You can live two ways when you're forced to, like the United States, England, France, Germany, when you're Muslims living in these countries. But these countries are basically Christianity, Christians. So they're underneath Christian rule. So you must live underneath that rule. At the same time, you live Islamically, underneath the Islamic rule. And it's not easy to do, but you must do that. Like I said before, I'm in the United States, living in the United States. The law over the United States is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all that are Christian. The Christian people made it. Years ago, it wasn't, matter of fact, black people in those papers were not considered human beings. They were considered like cattle. They were considered merchandise. People own black folks. So, but we had to live now, today, we must live underneath certain rules and regulations of this country as being Muslims. And that's the way it is. And you must have to live this. Your involvement must be the way under the rules of the country and whatnot. The same rules of the country for crimes and other things is on you. Now when your country is 95 or 85% Muslims, you can live underneath an Islamic law, and that's your right. The same right that they have in this country to live under Christian law. That's our right, that's the right. And we have the same right, and we're going to have to stand up for that right. They don't tell the Chinese how they should live. They don't tell the communists, the Koreans over in North Korea how they should live. They don't tell the Greeks how they should live. The English how they should live. Then what makes them think that they can tell you how you should live in Saudi Arabia, in Indonesia, in Pakistan, in all these other countries? You do not have to follow a democratic system. Because you're in the Quran, there is a democratic system. There is voting for your imam. There is a Master Shura. There is a parliament. That's the parliament, the Master Shura. The Shura. And you must live that underneath that. This is one of our biggest problems. If we were living underneath the laws of Islam, we wouldn't have a Bin Laden. We wouldn't have a Gaddafi. We wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have a Hussein. If we were living strictly under Islam, we wouldn't have these things going on. We wouldn't have somebody dictating to us. Because the person that would be in control must be in the control underneath the Islamic law, because that person must be a Muslim. If you're an Islamic country, you must put Sharia on your country. And that we wouldn't have to live like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is to live clean. He lived among the Jews and the Christians. And he wasn't fighting no Jews and Christians. His battle was with his own people, the Quraysh, that ruled Mecca, the Quraysh that tried to kill him, the Quraysh that ate the liver of his father, his uncle. That's who his battle was with. But he didn't fight the Jews. They lived together in Mecca and Medina. Matter of fact, the Jews is the one that's accepted him in Medina as a leader of Islam before the Muslims did, before the people in Saudi Arabia did. He walked one day and he walked upon a Jew, and the Jew told him, so asked him some questions about his way of life, and he said, la. He said, I'm not going to live as you live, and you're not going to live as I live. You're not going to worship what I worship, and I'm not going to worship what you worship. So inshallah, let us part in peace. Salam alaikum. Salam. And let us part in peace. And we must do our way of life like that. But no, you want to take countries from people and give it to other people as if you rule the world. And this is what we got to, what you got to understand and then look at. Your people must look at it. The other day I was talking with somebody, and we was talking about politics, and they said, well, why does the people vote when their vote does not put nobody in office? That's the president. Don't put the president in office. The president gets in office by the electoral votes. That's how you win the election, with the electoral votes. And the people's vote don't mean nothing. And the sister said, this is what the sister told me. And I'm looking at her. And she's right. The electoral votes is the votes that put the president in office. If he gets 200 and something of those, 270 something of those votes, he becomes the president of the United States. Without that, he doesn't become the president of the United States. So we must stand up for what we believe. We must strive for our deen. And those that say they Muslims, that said La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, must stand up for their deen. If they don't stand up for their deen, then who are they? You are forced to stand up for your deen if you're Muslim. You are forced to serve Allah if you're Muslim. No, there's no compassion, no compulsion in Islam. But it's compulsion to stay in Islam. You must follow the laws and regulations of Islam if you want to stay a Muslim. Remain a Muslim. If you don't want to follow the laws and stuff of Islam, then you're going to become apostate, a disbeliever, a rejecter. And if you're not going to work for the law and the Islam, regards to who you like and don't like, who you think is you are. The the doctor, the professor, all of them are just as much got to work, just as much as the school teacher and the shoe shine boy and everybody else for God, Allah. And this is what you got to learn. Muslims got to demand this from Muslims. And the Imam got to stand up in the kubas around the world and tell Muslims that this is what we're supposed to be doing and this is what we expect you to do in this masjid. If you're not going to do this in this masjid, then go join the other side. You can't play with that. That's no game. Islam is no game. Islam is a way of life. With a recognized Imam, a recognized first Imam was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. We follow Muhammad Abdullah, the messenger of Allah, and he followed Allah, and anything he gave to us came through him from Allah. And this is what we must follow. We must imitate him. He told us that I give you nothing of my own. That everything I give to you comes through me to you. Comes through me to you from Allah Almighty. So he had no sunnah. His sunnah was the sunnah of Allah. And this is what you got to get in your head. To serve Allah. To love Allah. To lay your life in the hands of Allah. To take care of your brothers and sisters in Islam. To do what you're supposed to do by the Quran and the Hadiths. And when you don't want to do that, then you should leave Islam. Nobody gonna do nothing to you. Take your hat and leave Islam. Pick up your suitcase and go over to the other side. I keep telling you this, I keep saying to you, the ship has got a hole in it. We must maintain the ship and fix it. And make Islam pure for the law. You can't be doing what you want to do because what is needed to do. And that is needed. You just seen thousands of people running around talking about freedom that's Muslims. They ain't said one word about Islam. They didn't demand from Gaddafi that he practiced the Islam. They didn't demand from Hussein that he practiced Islam. They didn't get there and put a bullet in Gaddafi's head because of Islam. They put a bullet in Gaddafi's head because he was taking something away from them at the same time. It wasn't their Islam, it was their freedom that they was taking away from him. He was dictating to them policy that wasn't Islamic. And so they stood up against it. They come over here and go to school and they go back overseas. There's no jobs in Morocco and all them places. A brother spent $300 and something million on a building that Allah tells him, demands that he doesn't do that. That he shouldn't spend all that money on a building, talking about this is a masjid. When people are starving around the corner. You got people giving to their family members millions of dollars worth of oil money. And people 10 blocks away don't have something to eat. You got kids 8 years old get $7-8 million allowance money for the year. They share the oil, they share this. And the oil and stuff that's in the ground, nobody's one name is on it. So I'm trying to tell you something. It doesn't say you can't do business with non-Muslims. You can't. It doesn't say don't do business with non-Muslims. But you must have your own. You can't clean up somebody's house with roaches and everything. It's walking all over your house. And you don't have a house. You can't do that. You must stand up and be who you must be. And I'm like every other Muslim, every other believer, every Muslim must stand up and tell you, brother, I expect from you the Quran to come out of you, the Hadith to come out of you. I expect you to say, if a brother put his finger up in the air, that he lives underneath one law. The law that Allah lays down for you underneath the Quran and the Hadith. I don't expect you to walk in there and change your clothes from Shia to Ahmadiyya to this and that, because that's going to take a lot of doing. But that's what we must do, really, in the future, is break up these schools of thought. Destroy these schools of thought. And just call yourself what Allah calls you, Muslims and Mu'min. Muslims and Mu'min. There's no other name in the Quran that you call except that. And that's what you're going to have to do. You can't stand up there and beat yourself with a chain on your back. That doesn't even belong to you, your back. Once you put your finger in there and join, you're a slave of Allah. And Allah is the biggest dictator in this world. He dictates to you what you should be doing, because all the time he let you free and let you do what you want to do, you turned around and killed Muslim leaders, Christian leaders, and everybody else. You killed prophets and everything else. And you're still doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. I'm sorry if I show that I'm upset. I'm bitter. I'm upset. Believe me, I'm almost seeing red, because I'm so upset with what I see and what I receive and what's going on out here. It's talking about they Muslims. I walk down the street and I see Muslims with their pants showing their drawers, like they're some kind of rockin' fan or hip hopper. That's not Islamic. Ain't no way in the world I want to look like the people that's not doing Islam. You must turn around and look and dress and talk like Muslims. You're walking around here looking like something that's smoking reefer and selling dope. Or like people that's dancing around with naked women behind them, talking about, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, down. What is that? I'm not down on the people, but we can't be on that level. We must be on the level that we serving God. The highest person, the highest thing on in this world. We must act like we're the servants of God. Not the servants of Iblis, the devil. It's servants of God. We can't walk around looking like we shaitan. We gotta walk around looking like we servants of God. And we gotta look like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. We gotta dress like him. We gotta do everything. We gotta smell like him. We gotta take baths and showers like him. We gotta comb our hair like he did. You got brothers walking around here with their hair matted and they don't even unbraid their mats to wash it.